Hi, I'm David. I'm a papercraft artist, and this is my EPSON EcoTank. What number is this? The 4850. And I love this printer. I use it for my graphic design work and my papercraft work, creating 3D papercraft sculptures like this. This is the evil eye. It's always fun to give people the evil eye. I create these kits that have template sheets, and I have a big trade show coming up this weekend. Well, I need to print a bunch of these things. This is going to be a little bit of a torture test. I'm going to print 500 sheets through this EPSON EcoTank. Let's put it through its paces and see how it does. We'll watch this ink level and see how that goes down over time. Ready? Let's do it. So you can see where my ink levels are right now. Black, cyan, magenta, yellow. I thought I had a dry erase marker, but I can't find it. So I'm just going to take some Post-it notes and sort of stick them on here at the ink level. This is highly scientific. For papercraft, I like to use this cardstock paper. This is 65 pound. Let's load up some of this. And you're going to notice really quick, paper tray, not very big. Let's see how many sheets I can fit in here. Yeah, not a problem. Okay, let's try some more. Okay. It's really important to play around with these settings and dial it in until you get it just the way you want it to be. Actually, let's just print one copy of that on the plain paper best and make sure. Oh, wait a minute. Out of paper. Wait a minute. Now, you just saw me load this thing. This is completely full of paper. Let's take some paper out of here so it's not so full. I don't like how it's thinking something. What is going on? That sound was gross. Did you hear that? Oh, look. It tried to feed that through and bent it. Now it's printing. Wow. It won't let me put in a huge pile of cardstock in there because it doesn't like that. So I'm gonna have to babysit this project a little bit. The colors are looking good. I wanna see if the photo matte paper result looks better than the plain paper result. And print. What I think might happen here is I might get, yes, I knew it exactly. The paper settings don't match the paper loaded into the cassette, which is interesting. So it is trying to read what paper is in this machine and warn you, but that's okay. I've done this before. I just hit next. I know what I'm doing. With this setting, it's actually taking considerably longer to print. It is darkening those colors up. The question is, do I like that? I'm not sure. And again, this printed out much faster than this. If I'm printing 500 sheets, I think I need to print it on this one. I just like the quality of that better. If I was printing on a glossy paper, these dots should not sort of expand like they're doing, which is, I think, darkening things up a little bit. Yeah, interesting. That's why you always need to test. It's a lot nicer of a print over here than here. Back in action and printing again. While those sheets are printing, I'll give you a close-up of what one of these papercraft look like when they're all put together. This is the Snuggle Beast. I almost forgot I need to print an instruction sheet to go in the kit as well. I've printed 10 kits so far. So this is how much ink has come away from my initial marking. And then this happened. Okay, so we had some snow yesterday. Not a lot, but it did cancel school, which is typical in Richmond, Virginia. I worked out of the home office. Back at it today. Okay, just got weather update from Hampton Comicon. They are going to put on the show as planned, so I gotta keep getting ready. And while my prints are happening in the background, I'm also working on packing up my Kooky Craftables coloring kits. I didn't print these on my inkjet because this is super thick paper and this would not feed through my printer. Got my first maintenance error here. It says, it's time to reset the ink level, refill now. We are running low on the yellow, but we're not out of the yellow. I don't really have more of the yellow ink except for what was left over in the bottle when I first installed. Let me see what happens if I say no. You need to reset the ink level to continue printing. That answers that. Okay, I've got a little bit of ink left over from when I first installed all the ink into the system. And so you can see what I'm doing. It's got the black, cyan, magenta, yellow. So We'll open up the yellow. It has this key mechanism that forces this bottle to only fit on the yellow input. So it's kind of smart. All right, you can hear it drinking up the yellow. Let's close that back down. Let's see if I've faked the printer out enough to think that it has enough ink to keep going. Oh, okay. It's telling me to tell it how much ink's in here. Really, we're one notch from the bottom. Right there. Complete. And that has been set. And it's back to printing. This is what was printing before. And here is the new print after I put a little bit more yellow in here. Print quality looks exactly the same. Let's see. I've printed 30 kits since I started, which is 330 pages. So far, so good. Back in action. I'm just glad to find out that it didn't force me to 100% fill that yellow ink up. I could use what was left over from the initial install. Well, it happened again. It's asking me if I want to refill the black ink, which we now know is not a question, it's a demand. This was about where that yellow was when I got the warning before. So, right there. Okay, the yellow. I'm printing a lot of yellow apparently on these sheets because that last little bit of ink that I installed of yellow is out. So it's a good thing I went to the store. Yeah, I got this from the Mart of Walls, a 502 pack of colors and a 502 black. Remember these guys, the cartridges? Man, I would spend, to get like a full set of ink cartridges, I'd spend at least $90, I think. I would have to get these like every 2 or 3 months. And I've been running this printer for over a year on that the initial bottles of ink that it came with. This is my first time having to buy new bottles. So, I mean, this has been a huge cost savings for me. Yep, so I'll just install what it's telling me to, which is the yellow. I'll go there. Okay, now it is stopped, and I'll seal that up for later use. I filled the yellow. It's filled to the upper line. Oh no, it happened again. Okay, this time with the magenta ink. But it's interesting that the ink levels, pretty much go down, fairly equally. And so I'm sort of replacing these inks at about the same time. I mean, relatively. Okay, so this piece of paper coming out of here right now marks sheet number 550. I started a timer on this last batch of 10 prints to sort of see how long that took. Okay, yeah, so this 10 pieces of paper here took about 12 minutes to print out. A little bit more than a minute per page. We're dealing with, or maybe 1.5 segments of color for 550 sheets of paper of printouts with this sort of level of color on the pages. I never would have tried something like this with my older EPSON cartridge-based printer, but with an EcoTank, this is opening up some new opportunities for me. What does 550 pages of color prints look like from this machine? That's a lot. Okay, flashing forward now, the show is done. Everything went great with that. So what impressed me the most about the EPSON EcoTank system was how it actually worked, like when I needed it to work. I was using an EPSON Workforce for years and years and years, and I loved it. It was a great printer, but man, did it cost so much money to keep that thing fed. I was a little cautious to go to an EcoTank. I just figured that it would not have the color and the capabilities or the quality. I had been using it for a year before I did this torture test of 550 prints in such a short amount of time. It'd be nicer if that paper tray would accept a bigger stack of cardstock paper in it. I have put in copy paper and it handles that just fine. But when I put that big stack of cardstock in there, I can only put about 20 sheets of paper in it for it to feed properly. Aside from that one crimped sheet that you saw at the beginning of this video, I had 0 misprints, no smudging, no splotches, no ink stains on the corners of the sheets. Color me impressed. It's a fantastic value for me. And so if you print a lot, I definitely recommend that you give a EPSON EcoTank a good look. And for a closer look at this printer, you can watch my initial setup video as well as my 1 year later review.